So have you ever said that you couldn't exercise because you got late at work, or that you couldn't go for that girly lunch because your kids were freak out, or that you really can't finish your dinner on time like those non-working people because time doesn't permit it? Well, I can only say one thing to you then, that ignoring your own needs has massive ramifications on your physical, mental, spiritual, and energy body. So hey everyone, you've joined me on this video where we're really talking about making time for ourselves and the art of self-care. And let me tell you that making time for ourselves is extremely critical to our well-being. And if we cannot really give to ourselves and nurture back in forms of maybe good balanced diet or a good exercise regime, or even do things that we really love to do, then we really won't have a healthy spirit. So chances are that you're suffering in these realms, and that if you really are, then it's time for some reflection and maybe even in some solitude. If you really do think out aloud or tell anyone ever that you can't do things for yourself which are so necessary for whatever reasons that may be valid, frankly, it's really no one else's issue here. These may be no excuses, I understand, but at the end of the day, I like to tell you that there's no one else depleting more than you, yourself, and it really is your life and it's up to you. So you may get an agony aunt, spouse, friend, or parent to tell you it's all okay, but bouncing out of your comfort zone and saying that no, you want to make a little change in your life is really only up to you. And that's the start of saying, I am engaged in my own personal self-care. Now, my big learning after my health setbacks has been that I was moving from a lot of victim mode to self-blame to even loathing mode, and I'm sure a lot of you range in these emotions, and it's okay to be all over the place. But the day you really decide you need action, it's the time where you say that it's only really up to me to decide what changes I need. So instead of getting very overwhelmed, I realized it was the smaller things I need to do, or untangle myself out of the bigger problems and start with a very simple day, or start with a very simple goal. And that was the beginning of me creating a few I don't know what you say, a little idea or an understanding for myself on what are the things I could share with others maybe that have helped me in my personal self-care. So the first step is to really accept it's time for change. And in practical terms, for a lot of people, it means really to limit the caretaking of others and prioritizing at least some of their own needs. So I've listed a few steps, and let's begin with the first one. The first one is, for me, is to really discover our own self-care style. And for the first suggestion in this is something I called my morning, my time. And I agree that my love for yoga and my love for being on my mat in the morning, where there's so much peace and the birds are chirping and there's no real sound, and pranayama feels great because the air feels crisp and clean, that's the time I feel there's less chaos, because it doesn't feel very rushed. I can spend time, the world hasn't hit that crazy day. So of course that I do spend a lot of time on my mat, but recently I've started discovering my love for a high octane morning as well, my love for deep house in the morning and a cardio intense day, then maybe with some stretching or passive relaxation and shavasana. It's all becoming a little bit of a mix, I've seen, and I've really started enjoying ruffling myself up and again getting out of my comfort zone and seeing what all I really like and not getting stuck in that my morning, my time. Also, I talk to my dog, and I wait for my husband to wake up. And according to me, even that is such a soulful time to spend time with family, which is so non-stressed and pressured. And we discuss life and vision and dreams in that real half an hour, 45 minutes. It's much more quality time I've seen than even spending an entire holiday abroad maybe. But having said all of that you have to find your own beat for what is really soulful for you. It could be a silent walk in the morning. I see the sunrise at least 2 to 3 times in the week. Whatever really is your energizer, helps you go into a introspection mode. It should be kind of committed to one healthy activity that you can commit to, and repeat it, so that it's a small thing that you're doing and you are managing to do that more often than not in the week. Create a routine. That's where self-care really starts from. So my big suggestion is to spend my morning, my time creating something that you love to do. And I really feel that that kind of connection can help you handle your day better and set the pace far more, what do I say, in a sort of an equilibrium than other days. And see that comparison of that day with the day that you don't do that kind of a morning, and you'll start getting very addicted, just like me. So point number 2, stop setting yourself up for failure. Start small, give room for chaos, leave room or space for mistakes, and start setting achievable goals, keeping in mind where you are currently, and give yourself a gift of success. And trust me, that becomes such a positive way of being when you start giving this feeling of success, or you've achieved something, because your goals are pragmatic, achievable, and in a shorter duration instead of long-winded. I will do this for 1 year, I will do this for 20 days, I will do this for 1 month sometimes, or I will first do this, then I will do this. So your goals cannot be something I set, but they have to be something that set you up for success. And if stress is combated because you're in a positive state of mind, that big bad word, trust me, you will keep yourself away from things like chronic diseases, lifestyle ones, cardiovascular issues. Cancers are caused because of stress. Cellular inflammation is something that causes chronic diseases, and it's all generated out of not managing your day and getting overwhelmed and how to handle tasks or setting yourself up for success. And normally people are always setting themselves up for failures with these massive goals. So starting small can help you combat stress, which will help, of course, keep your cortisol levels in control, keep your hormonal imbalances in control, your immunity issues, your muscle suppleness. If that is already there, then mix that with the wrong sense of eating, no exercise regime, and oh my God, you have a chronic fatigue syndrome out there for you. Have you not heard a lot of people who complain always of being exhausted? That is a chronic fatigue syndrome, and it is things like thyroid or PCOD in women or diabetes that is normally an amalgamation of all of these things where you've not been able to engage in a personal self-care routine, where you don't have a my morning, my time to begin the day with, something as simple as how your day begins and setting the pace for it, having smaller achievable goals maybe through your morning, saying, hey, I never did anything, now I'm committing to a 20-minute exercise regime. My mini yoga sequences are all about achievable goals, setting yourself up for success. People who have never practiced, using easy props that I will help you create in those 20 minutes, that you can really target a certain specific issue and create a general sort of sense of routine where you're working with BP issues or hormonal issues, of course, or immunity issues, or sleeping patterns getting better, your digestion feeling stronger, your skin glowing, or whatever. These are mini yoga sequences that we will add to, for which I have to shoot more professionally than a phone camera, of course. And those are coming up so that they help you balance this self-care regime that you may begin with. And I hope that you can take a few suggestions from this video. So the second one, like I said, is stop setting yourself up for failure. The first one being my morning, my time, creating a small commitment every day, maybe beginning with my small mini yoga sequence, which will be 15 to 20 minutes. That should be coming soon, or of course anything else that works for you. Let's move on to point number 3 now. I've started doing a lot, and that's called listening to our emotions, and that can be done when you're alone. So instead of worrying, running away from your alone time and always having people around, I think that is seriously the most mindful thing that I really do in the day. So I actually make sure that I spend a little reflective time where I ask myself questions like, how am I feeling right now? or how have I felt about the day, how strong was that feeling, was the activity that I was going to be engaging in primarily through the day, was it an energizing activity or was it really weighing me down? I call it the drain or gain activity. If the activity simply goes to draining me, or is it helping me gain something, then I get my answer that I need to do it. And so many times I'm stuck to commit to something, and this is one barometer I use, and it's pretty quick and, by the way, very, very effective, which gets me to my fourth point, and that is learning the magic word no. We're so busy pleasing others so many times that we forget that we are actually doing a lot of things that are enriching others but depleting us. We have to get more mindful, of course, and alert in our responses when we are committing, and seeing whether we are really draining ourselves or depleting ourselves. So a lot of times we could learn things like, while it sounds like a very worthwhile project, I'm not certain if I can commit to it right now, or that even I need to look at my schedule and get back to you. And we're not so used to saying that no, or not saying an immediate yes to people, and setting aside our priorities and start giving. So a lot of people are givers, and in that they lose out a lot. So for a lot of those people, that magic word no is so important. And it can be for people like me also, who are borderline givers and a bit self-centered also. But for me also, I feel like for me, the other day, I remember I didn't have a driver and I was driving and I was going all over the city doing things and running errands, and my husband called me and he was like, just pick this up. And my immediate response was, yeah, sure, I'll do it. I put the phone down and I just did a little orientation of where I was, and I realized I was completely out of my way, and I was running for a small meeting in the middle. I was not appropriately dressed to go into that market to pick up that thing for him. So I realized that, oh my God, I'm in absolute stress suddenly and gone into a tizzy because of this phone call. So I actually was taking a deep breath, I remember, for a second there, and I called him back and I said, I don't know if I can do this today, so maybe you'll have to manage. And of course he sounded a bit disheartened, or not upset, but disappointed, let's use that word. And I put the phone down. Okay, now here's the problem with most people. I said the no, but I died of guilt. I was just like, okay, now I've said the no, and the whole day now I'm going to be worrying about this, of saying a no to my husband for such a small thing. So a lot of times we're so worried after we do that as well. Let me tell you one thing. It's so important to even go through that emotion of guilt a bit repetitively, so that we get comfortable with ourselves in that as well. So my suggestion would be to do something that in the day that makes you feel a little guilty once in a while, which is maybe to tell a loved one something like you couldn't do something for them, and prioritizing our own need. So go for it, attempt it a couple of times. Of course, be compassionate and understand where this is coming from, and when you are feeling guilty, go back to the feeling of also giving back to yourself, and this being an activity, a small activity towards your self-care. So with these 4 points, which is my morning, my time, stop setting ourselves up for failure, listening to our emotions, and of course, what was the 4th point? Learning how to say the magic word no. We can put ourselves on a thinking mode, or put our thinking cap on how important self-care is, and what it means to take these small steps towards that direction. Of course, eventually we are all empowered to create our own self-care journey with, of course, a little bit of direction. These points have been something that have helped me, so I thought I'd share it with you. I'd also like to tell you one thing that I've understood, that ultimately it's our own body, and on this entire planet there's nothing that you have complete dominion over than your own body. So we can only do things for ourselves, and really no one else is coming for our rescue. it's this little piece of nature that we have gotten for ourselves, which is our body, and we need to take care of this. And I really believe that small steps towards this direction can help us really improve the quality of our life. Please do send in your comments on what are the things that stop you from your self-care journey. It could be some habits, some emotional issues, and I'll really wait to read them and see if I have anything else I could share on that. Thank you.